She's like, it feels so weird.
Good afternoon. It's 1:02 p.m. on Tuesday, April 4th, and we're calling the Public Services and Facilities Committee meeting to order. We have all committee members present. Kevin Popson is joining us via Zoom, and Councilmember Myers and myself are here in chamber. Anyway, we'll call to order the meeting and acknowledge that the press and the public have been duly notified of the meeting in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. Nicole, do we have any citizens' comments today?
No, sir.
No citizens' comments. We'll move on. Approval of previous meetings minutes from March the 7th. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any changes or amendments to the minutes at all? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, let's move on to old business. And what we have first, item 4A, discussion and consideration of ordinance 2023-03, which is to require lawn commercial services to remove yard debris from residential and rental properties. So we have that as our first order of business. I'd like to say before we open it up for further discussion, I know that last meeting publicly I had expressed some concerns that I had in regards to the small business person out there that does our lawn care here on the island, and we have a number of, landscapers and again, small businesses that that if we pass this as written, could create some, in my opinion, some additional cost to them, which would be tough for them to bear. And my concern would be that we would end up kind of forcing them off the island and take their business elsewhere. And this could also create some kind of a hardship also for the residents on the island too. So just want to go on record to say that before we have some further discussion. So Desiree, would you like to weigh in on this particular ordinance at this point and what we have here in front of us?
So yes, in your packet, you have a red line version of what the changes to the ordinance would look like if that is the will of the committee and the will of council. We used similar language from other communities. This requirement is in place for Folly Beach, Edisto, Kiowa, Sullivan's. So we looked at their ordinances and modeled it, modeled it after that. But otherwise, it's the packet, the ordinance listed, the ordinance included is highlighted, the section that would be different, and it would be a new section that would require lawn commercial services to take all yard debris with them that is removed from residential or rental properties. Lawn commercial services must not leave their debris removal behind on site.
So Kiowa, Edisto, and Sullivan's have an ordinance in place that mandates that the
And
small
Folly.
landscaping companies remove all their debris?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I had a suggestion to add to this that would allow them to leave the debris that's bagged in the paper bags. So basically just your lawn clippings. Because I feel like, first of all, I feel like that's just thinking about a landscape company with an open trailer trying to take those across the connector. And then also if you just have somebody who literally is just mowing yards and doing routine maintenance, it's, that to me, to leave a bag, it's going to be 2, maybe 3 bags. I feel like that's not really that big of a deal. And I guess we'd have to ask our the
Donnie.
guys who are in charge of picking it all up.
Yep.
But I do feel like it's more the issue that I see is more the big limbs, and I think those are harder to pick up, and those are the types of things where the company would be more expected to take it off the island. So that was my thought.
Could we get Donnie Pitts, our Director of Public Works, to weigh in on this. Donnie, we'd love your opinion on this.
Well, first, let me back up. Last month at the meeting, I was asked specifically about the operation itself and would it be more efficient if an ordinance like this would be put in place. And the answer is absolutely it would be more efficient for Public Works. However, and there's the big however from me, if under normal conditions, the Public Works Department had been and is unable to completely service each subdivision every week, and we couldn't do it, and we couldn't get around, maybe I would have a little bit of a different opinion. Like I told the administrator, it's, I'm for the small guy, and I used the reference of Miss Leola, God rest her soul, but you've got a lot of Miss Leolas that live on this island. Mm-hmm. And to penalize those elderly folks or those that are living by themselves that from time to time, once or twice a year, put more than a judgmental from some enforcement out there, you're going to penalize those type folks that are trying to hang on to a little piece of this paradise. And that's always been my concern. I'm not concerned about the small landscaper. I'm concerned about the Leolas of the world. And under normal conditions, Public Works, this may be my opinion, but Public Works does a pretty dang good job of servicing every subdivision every week. Mm-hmm. You can go to Middle Street on Sullivan's Island today, about 400 yards from Stella Maris Church, and there's a pile on that street as big as any pile you've ever seen on the Isle of Palms today. Mm-hmm. So enforcement, that's not me, but that's an issue.
Right.
Whether ordinances are in place or not, things happen.
So what we're hearing from you is that your concern would be for the resident that lives on this island that, once or twice a year, maybe they get their yard cleaned up, they hire a small business person to do it, and then, if this could penalize them and that, if we didn't have that small business person in place to do that, they would somehow have to try to get it done themselves or it wouldn't get done at all. But you don't have any problem with Public Works picking up on a routine basis anything that's out there on a normal weekly basis, right?
So normal conditions, yes, it creates a little bit of slower getting around when you come upon a big pile, but that's not an everyday occurrence. We do get big piles somewhere once every week, mm-hmm. But throughout 7 miles of the beach, the island, you're going to get a large pile, but we tend to get it up and get caught up by Friday. Now, naturally, the 13 weeks of the season, we're on twice a week garbage. The capacity to pick up yard debris is minimized. We always tend to fall behind once we get to the holidays. And then normally there's 1 or 2 Saturdays where I'll run a shift to try to get caught up. And then you have the next holiday, but once we get past Labor Day, we tend to get into the fall season. And once we get that fall season cleared up, then it's the ability to do the random acts of kindness on Fridays and cook for my guys and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So we do get caught up.
Councilmember Popson, anything to add?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Because I guess I started this whole discussion about a month or so ago. And the idea behind it was just to help Don and his staff and of course save the city, money, because you can definitely determine whether these piles are by a commercial contractor or, the homeowner themselves. But it seems like Donnie and staff are okay with continuing the same. We've had a few complaints that this would hurt the small owner or the small contractor. I think a code officer could be out there and determine really quickly whether it's a small pile by an elderly person versus a huge pile by the greenery. And I really kind of don't agree that it's going to hurt these small contractors. These guys are doing well. I deal with them all the time. And I just think they would adapt. But anyway, again, I'm the one who started this discussion. And I'm ready just to kind of back down and ready to drop this and move on. Because it just seems like the sentiment is that we're okay with normal business and that, we have some homeowners that are concerned about this. So I'm ready to kind of drop this from my end and just move on. So I'm not sure what the next steps are.
So, I mean, that that said, I kind of figure, I feel like the best thing to do is to listen to the people in charge and drop it. But I would also like to point out that maybe this is something that we could do instead, is that we already have an ordinance that says that limbs should be no longer than 4 feet in length and 4 inches in diameter. If things were kept smaller like that, does that help y'all?
Yeah, very rarely. So the hardwoods, if it's 6 foot, it's not going to be a big difference. What I'm very strict with is the bamboo, because that becomes a safety hazard with the whipping. It does not snap like hardwoods. So we are and have been enforcing that with the bamboo 18 years, 19 years that I've been here. So there's certain things that I can let go at 6 foot because it'll snap, but bamboo is a no-no.
Maybe we just need to try to educate people.
Well, I think part of it too is what you just mentioned also is enforcement of what we already have on the books. And I think, Donnie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the larger companies, whether it's landscaping, tree trimmers, the ones that come, not only that are on the island, but from off island, it seems to me like they do, for the most part, a really good job of cleaning up behind themselves, basically, and taking away, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your big 3 or 4 that everybody's aware of, they always take their stuff off. But you do have some, and there is a pile right now. It was coming out yesterday in Ocean Point, and it's a pretty large, substantial pile. It was a smaller company, but I think the key here is enforcing the business licenses and making sure that all of the landscapers that are on the island working have their valid business license year in and year out. I think that might be a key.
Right. So Desiree, in regards to this being first reading, we don't take a vote or anything like that, but what should we do to amend this? Should this be amended to just remove it from discussion at this point, and go for more enforcement? What would be our next step in this process?
If the goal is to not adopt this ordinance, then it's going to be on the next agenda because it has been approved by first reading. And then council can vote yay or nay to adopt it at that point.
So we should make a motion and a second as to whether we're going to adopt or not?
No, you don't have to make a recommendation from the committee to council to adopt it. So I think you can take no action today. And then at the council meeting at the end of the month, it would be on the agenda for second reading. And we can say the committee made no recommendation to adopt and, discuss the reasons why. And then there would need to be, council could take a vote, or it could move to defer, move to table, and not take any action. So there's a couple ways of doing it, but you don't have to take any action today if you're not recommending it.
And it might open up discussion for other areas too that we're talking about in terms of enforcement and construction debris, that sort of thing.
And we can look at, what we have in the books today. One concern I have is that I hear constantly from members of the community and sometimes members of council concerns about the island looking tired, the island not looking as tidy as, why do we have piles, on the street at any given day? Why is it not done in a single day like other communities do? So I think we just have to accept that the status quo is going to continue to be the case, and we can look at the ordinance as it's spelled today and how we can enforce it, but those complaints are going to still come up, so we're just going to have to address them as they come.
Okay, are we good with that?
That's fine.
Okay. Councilmember Popson, are you good with that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
All right, well, thank you. That's what we'll do then.
And Mr. Chairman, let me just go on the record too and just say that Donnie and his staff do a great job. I've been cutting my palm fronds for 35 years, putting them by the street, and they never sit out there more than 2 or 3 or 4 days. So Public Works does a fabulous job.
They also take my bamboo, but
Oh,
sorry, didn't know
I
that.
agree with you.
I'll cut it next time.
All right, good
Donnie.
deal. What I'd like to do next is I would like to reorder the agenda, if we could, and go to new business, because we do have Mike Schuler of Coastal Marinas here with us today, and he was going to give us a quick update on the marina store and parking renovation. So if it's the will of the other council members, I would like to bring up Mike and just move item 5, updated marina store and parking renovations, up to this point now, and have
Yeah.
that presentation. That good?
Sounds good.
I'm good.
Okay, so with that, we'll call Mr. Mike Schuler up with Coastal Marinas.
Oh, you can go up there.
Okay. How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm excited. The season is here.
Mike, I think
But-
think the mic will. It's on. Okay. All right.
Yeah, just pull it up there, just get close to it to make sure we're.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go.
You can pull it up.
Or you can pull it up.
There we go.
There you go.
All right. So, feel free, please, to ask any questions at all, but just to kind of jump right in, I'm really proud of our team. I think, as everybody here knows, we made a transition in ownership, I'd say, in just about Christmas. I think maybe a week or two before Christmas. City staff was really great to work with, kind of getting all the technical ducks in a row, so that once the transaction happened, we could just move right into getting the work done, because timing in our business is paramount. I mean, you've only got so long of an active boating season, so which is really kind of just now beginning. So we're definitely in crunch time. I'd say again, extremely proud of our team, from our transition team down to our the boots on the ground, the folks on the dock have really done a lot of work. This has been a pretty complicated transition, because we're trying really hard to take a lot of the existing employment and make sure that they were taken care of during this downtime. So we are carrying a full burden of payroll without that productivity. But that we did that very consciously. We're proud to do that, and hopefully pretty soon we'll be open doors and starting to turn the tide. Maybe put some income in the tank. So transition happened right there around the first of the year. We jumped right into renovations. Everything went really well and quickly. I think most everybody here is aware. We definitely found a few surprises hidden beneath the floors and in some cases behind the walls. Nothing that would have been truly detectable during any diligence or anything like that. But the floor system was pretty compromised, to the point of, in certain areas, it was really being held together by the surface tension of the hardwood floors, which I'm really glad we were able to uncover that. And I'm happy to report that, again, our team jumped right on it. Again, the city staff was excellent in helping us sort of just make decisions in order to really try to get open in time for this season. So that was a little bit of a setback, but I am so glad we found all that, because had we not, it probably would have been a cave-in over the summer. So I can safely say now that, you know, you've got a very structurally sound building now. We've got all new subflooring is going on top of the new structural components. So we're in good shape. I think we've lost, let's just say, the better part of 1 month in addressing those things, which again is, you know, it's amazing that we didn't lose 3 months, but we've again been on it very steadily. In addition to that, sort of that's the interior kind of nuts and bolts renovation of what everybody knows as the ship store. In addition, you know, a major component of what we're doing is the parking lot. This is something that council was involved in. Everybody had a lot of input in creating what I think is, again, just tremendous efficiency in the parking lot. That was a permitting process that had to go through the county. Again, I reiterate, the city staff was very helpful in helping get the county focused and get everything we needed. Though that process, you're kind of moving at the speed of government, it was done pretty quickly at the county, and we recently received those permits, the full permits, so we moved directly into full construction in the parking lot, which again, if you go out there today, the site is staked, and you know, their site improvements have begun. We do anticipate wrapping that up the end of the month. We are moving heaven and earth to hopefully have the interior renovations wrapped up somewhat concurrently. I think it would be unreasonable to think that I can line them up perfectly, but we are ready to open as soon as the work is done. As I'm aware, I think we passed our electrical inspection yesterday. I think plumbing is maybe even happening today, or at least this week. Once those things are passed, again, it's straight into finishes. That work can go pretty quickly. That's something we can toggle on our end. As sort of the final step to getting, you know, getting back in, getting fully CO'd, and getting all of our, you know, systems and wares installed. So we are very excited. Really hoping, again, for a, let's just say, early May parking lot open. Marina, again, remains fully functional, but with that parking lot, that's really going to help absorb a lot of that waterborne demand. Shortly thereafter, we're really hoping we can get that ship store open, because it's time.
Okay.
So, and I will say again, city's been great. The neighbors have been great. Islander 71 has been great. We've been working with some different sort of charity organizations on the island. They've all been great. So it's been a warm welcome, and we're really happy so far.
Well, I'd like to say that, well, I was out there with Scott Toole today, the general manager, and so we walked inside the building. That's the first time I've been inside the marina store in a while. A lot of work there. Now, the subflooring down, and just really looks like it's coming together really nicely. And he mentioned to me that the electrical inspection was yesterday, and everything passed just fine. So in the parking lot, I've been watching them for 2 or 3 days, moving everything around and putting down the matting, the gravel, and topsoil. It looks like it's going to be great once you get that finished there. There's a lot of work going on, so I've been impressed. But I also want to say, you know, before I turn it over to the other council members here too, that Scott has been a real pleasure to work with also. You know, and through you, I mean, that's extended to you, of course, you know, through him. But he's gotten very involved in the community with the Exchange Club, and just being, you know, just very open, and to answer any questions, to be helpful in any way. And so that's been, I think, a real plus also. So we can hardly wait. I was down there today, and there must have been 4 different vehicles that pulled up wanting to go shop in the store.
Yeah, it kills me.
So it's like a steady stream of people, Virginia tags, Ohio tags, you name it. And I know you hate having to turn them away right now, but it's just like,
I
be
can't
patient,
stand
it's
it.
coming. So,
So, no, thank you for that. And yeah, I may follow on with a couple other little tidbits just in case questions arise. We have rolled out our boat club program that we've talked a lot about, which is really exciting for the whole community. We've made certain to as we're kind of opening sort of a pre-registration, one of the line items is where do you live? So priority is going to be given to Isle of Palms residents, which again, we haven't even actively marketed it, and it's all just passive incoming, pre-registration and tremendous interest from the Isle of Palms itself, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted. So that's been going well, but we don't feel like it's really not going to be functional to launch that until the parking lot is complete. So although I'd love to have it launched tomorrow without any place to park, it's just too much trouble. So hopefully that'll be coming really, really soon. Let's see. What else? Everything else, again, I feel like is gone.
I know you've done the primer and all that on the building, but you're going to wait to finish that painting after you get the parking lot completely done just because of all the dust and stuff with rebuilding the.
I think they're working on the trim coat now.
Yeah,
They're
the
gonna
trim
do
coat.
a final pass
Right.
after
All that's done.
It's done.
Okay.
Again, just for the record, because I know people have questions. Isle of Palms residents will park for free. Isle of Palms residents will have access to our truck and trailer parking for free. That's something we were, I think pretty clear about originally, but it never hurts to reiterate. That's what's happening. So I think we remain kind of heads down, get the work done, and we're excited to be able to open the doors.
Councilmember Myers, anything?
Is the parking lot an all-at-once type of thing, or is there any possibility of opening like part of it? Because I noticed you seem to start on the one side. Is it going to go in stages, or will it just be once?
It's 2-phased, but the second phase is much less involved than the first phase. So we are maintaining, I think, sort of a bare minimum parking right now for some of our staff, some of our commercial operators, and I think we have a little bit of public parking, but again, it's really difficult when you have 100 cars that want to park. We're just trying to get it out of the way as soon as possible. So, but again, the side that we're working on this moment, that's going to open up, I can't remember, 160 parking spaces. So it's going to be night and day, I think, when this parking is finally installed for the whole marina. It's going to change the whole way the place wants to operate. It's going to feel much more accessible, I think, honestly, to everybody, residents, people from wherever. So.
Anything else? No. All right. Councilmember Popson, anything to weigh in on?
Mr. Chairman, just wish I was there to put my eyes on things. But Mike, it sounds like things are going well. So congrats, and glad for you and your team.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Anything else from anybody?
It's looking good. Looks better with just the primer.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I mean, I think it's going to look like a unified site now. I think
The white definitely helps.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that ask, when's this thing gonna open? When's this thing gonna open? And we know that you're going as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
So it's
if they really only knew
Yeah.
how close they were to falling on the ground,
yeah.
they'd be like, take your time.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I saw what you were talking
think
about early on in the process there. Well, we really appreciate you being here today and for the update, and We wish you well, and just
Thanks.
stay after it like you and your team are doing it. And we look forward to the grand opening sometime in the near future,
Sometime next month, right?
sometime next
Okay,
month.
good.
Okay.
Well, thank you to everybody here, and we're available 24/7. You guys know where to find us.
Okay.
We'll
Thank
be
you,
down
Mike.
at the marina.
Appreciate it. One other thing, we've got, there's a resident in our audience out there today. Before you get out of here, he's going to want to meet you. He's wearing a hat back there, so you'll probably get an introduction from him as you walk out the door.
Great.
So, great man.
Chair, that I have had the privilege of meeting this gentleman just as he sat down. And I really believe this, that we have a gem here. I really do.
Mhm.
The Isle of Palms is going to really benefit from having him operate this arena. Really do.
Well, thank you.
Well, thanks, y'all.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Did you plan that, Mike?
Famous chicken from Rusty.
Appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Now we're going back to old business, and we have item B, which is update on the temporary MOU with Islander 71 for the use of shared parking lot at the Isle of Palms Marina. So, Desiree, do we have any update on that at this point?
So Douglas has been working with the Islander 71 on this, so he has some updates to share.
Yeah, so the staff has been meeting with the Islander owners on site and in the office, just going over getting prepared for the season and the MOU to take effect. We have been working on getting quotes. There's a number of improvements that need to be made in terms of roping off the shared area, getting new signage developed. That signage requires that both parties agree mutually to the verbiage of that signage. We have been kind of talking about hiring an attendant. I think that the city felt like we could take that on by rolling that hiring into the BSO hiring process. They're kind of a similar position, so we were hopeful that we could get attendance through that process. We're maybe getting less confident about that, so we've also engaged the Islander staff on potentially them doing it or going to a third party in the event that we can't get people in place to do it. So I will say that all of that has kind of generated expense. We've seen what the expense could be, and the Islander owners have basically said, I think it's given them a little bit of pause in signing the MOU, so we have not actually signed, we haven't executed that MOU yet. I think they're just kind of waiting to see what the final tab of doing this for a temporary season will be, and just making a judgment as to whether or not that expense will be offset by gains from entering into the MOU. So it's not that they've said that they didn't want to do it, it's just that I think they're realizing through all of these expenses that it's going to add up a little bit, maybe more than they had anticipated on their end. So just talk to them today. I would say that they're still very much planning on entering into the MOU, but they want to get all these kind of lingering issues finalized before they fully execute the agreement.
In regards to the lingering issues, how quickly do we think we can pull all that together so that,
I would say within the next week to 10 days to 2 weeks, that type of range. The MOU had us putting an attendant in place in the end of May.
yeah,
So,
May 26th,
we're
I
getting,
think it was.
we have a lot of decisions and a lot of improvements to be in place before that can happen. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but it's not like this weekend urgent. But I think we're very close to, and it could be that we have to go to a plan B. I don't really fully anticipate that, but I think if we had to and we wanted to go pivot to a system of trying to govern it with signage only and more passive management, we could. I don't think that's what they would like, but I think we could do it if that was deemed necessary. I think we could do that.
Councilmember Myers?
Sounds good.
Yeah, so
What are the big blocks of concrete that are out there right now? What is the
So
story on
there
those?
have always been, they're basically parking stops in front of the cars that would keep somebody from driving off into the marsh. They've always been there. They were obviously closer to the marsh. They were kind of 2 feet from the marsh. Now we have a boardwalk in that area, so they're kind of 8 feet from the marsh. And I think they also had kind of sunk down and were where they're now kind of 18 inches. They're old pilings, they're old dock pilings that have been pulled up and laid on the ground. But they're, I think a car without those could get over a regular parking stop if they were so inclined to try to do that, and that stops them from being able to do that.
So are those a permanent fixture?
I
Or are
don't think
those temporary?
I would say that they would not be part of the ultimate goal down there is to have a permanent green space. I think they would go away when we had a more final kind of park atmosphere, but I do think that we would want them in place to just keep cars from going onto the boardwalk potentially for this next season.
Councilmember Popson?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, with the update on the temporary MOU, I think we're creeping up on the season, so it'd be great if we could pull all of these lingering issues and cost and that sort of thing together and, get back to us as quickly as possible. I don't know if this is something we need to put on the agenda for the workshop, or is it just more work to do on your part to bring it all together? Desiree Douglas?
Yeah, I would say we'll see how the next couple of weeks progress, and
Okay.
if there's any particular issues that we aren't able to resolve at our level, we can definitely bring it before you all if we need to pivot or change course. But yeah, we'll play it by ear until mid-April when we're preparing the agenda for that meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Next order of business is really just the next meeting date. We have it scheduled at this point at 1 p.m. on May the 2nd. Is that good with everybody?
It's good to me.
It's good for me. How about you, Kevin?
I'm good. God willing, I'll be there in person.
We hope so. All right. No executive session needed. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.